To this now, the National Arts Festival is planning some live events or live shows in July after having to host the prestigious event virtually last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. The decision for the festival to go online has left vendors, artists and accommodation hosts with no income for the 11-day event, at least last year. And we know this event is traditionally held in the Eastern Cape town of Makhanda. This year, though, we're told plans to resume live performances are set to renew opportunities, if you like, for the arts sector and bring much-needed financial relief to the town itself. For more on how this will work, especially under COVID-19 protocols, let's bring in the National Arts Festival CEO, Monica Newton, who joins us now via our video link. Monica, great to chat to you. Thanks so much for making time for us here on the AM Report. Unless you know something we don't, July will still be a context where COVID-19 is still very much with us. So how's this going to work?
Absolutely, Ayanda, and good morning to you and your viewers. So we are looking at a hybrid festival for the first time this year. So we found a very new, interesting and engaged audience online. So we will definitely be doing our virtual festival in 2021 again. But in terms of the current lockdown arrangements, we are able to do live events, but obviously on a much smaller scale. So in Makhanda, we will definitely be doing live 8 to 18 July. It will be a very different experience of the festival because we'll obviously have to have smaller crowds, much more open venues, probably some more outdoor events than we've had in the past. And of course, it's winter in Makhanda, so if you're going to come, bring your winter woolies with you. We will also be doing a lead into the festival for the first time, having a range of events in cities and places around the country. So what you're going to be seeing is the National Arts Festival offering live, doing it differently and absolutely focused on COVID-19 compliance and keeping both our artists, creatives and technical crew and of course our audiences safe. So another complicated year for the National Arts Festival, but we are absolutely committed to presenting South African arts on live and digital platforms, and as you mentioned, creating that incredibly important income stream for artists and associated professionals, and of course for our city, Makhanda.
Right. A lot of those financial opportunities are hinged on or rely on people being able to almost migrate to Makhanda. We know that that's unlikely to happen at a scale that we're used to, in part because of the pandemic. Are you worried about whether this is worth your effort? Because I imagine there are extra costs now to consider to try and ensure that this is, again, in compliance with COVID-19 protocols.
Well, we're a festival company, so festivals are always worth it. But the most important thing is that we try.
Yeah.
We are imagining a world as a live events company that is going to be impacted by the coronavirus for some time to come. So it is incumbent on us to adapt, to learn, to try, and to see what happens. So that is our commitment to the artistic community and, of course, the artists and the audiences in South Africa, is that the National Arts Festival will continue to offer the best of what South Africa has to offer on the most excellent stages and create the best experience we can, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be doing this year.
Let's speak a bit more about that offering. It comes on the backdrop of really troubling circumstances, especially once we think about the plight of many artists in Johannesburg and their fight against the NAC. I certainly get the perception that it was difficult to do work this year for all kinds of reasons, including financial struggles. How is that impacting what you're able to show?
It definitely will have an impact, and we are incredibly grateful to our core donors and sponsors, Eastern Cape Provincial Government, Standard Bank, Sarah Baartman District Municipality, for coming on board and choosing to believe in the arts even at this difficult time. But it is absolutely true, Ayanda, that we are seeing a very different art sector. We are bruised, we are battered, we are hurt by the last year. A lot of artists have had to sell equipment, are living with their parents. So in essence, we are expecting work that artists do to reflect this very difficult reality, these very trying times, this trust that's broken down between the arts sector and governing structures. So we're expecting to see all of what artists are experiencing express themselves in a variety of different ways on the stage. And one of the most difficult things about the past year has been that these opportunities for expression have been very much not available to the artistic community. And we are, at the end of the day, a platform for expression. So we're going to be there, we're going to be talking about these issues, and we're going to be working with artists, even in these constrained circumstances, to do what they love and to do what we love.
You mentioned the relationship that the arts have with government. In fact, the National Arts Festival itself took the National Arts Council, the NAC, to court. You ended up winning that court battle, and it was over money that was meant to be given to the festival. Are you getting a sense that, you know, there is an added strain on the relationship between government and artists, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic? And is the coverage helping or worsening that?
I think it is helping. I think that getting the stories that artists have to tell out there is so important. The circumstances at the National Arts Council are unprecedented in the history of that organization and, in fact, the National Arts Festival as well. And what is so fundamentally important is that the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program is there to stimulate, to inspire, to create hope, and to create new work and opportunities for artists. And that's very much what the battleground is the opportunity to use these funds which were made available for the arts in order to create an environment where we could move past the horror of 2020. And that's really where there's a lot of difficulty that artists are finding. There's a lot of complexity in those relationships. And I think going forward, we're all going to have to work very, very hard to bring the sector to a point where we are able to professionally create work, to be supported to do that work, to speak to audiences. So yeah, it's been, 2021 in particular has been a really difficult year on the back of 2020. So our artists are exceptionally vulnerable, and we really need everybody's support. So many thanks for the coverage, and please continue to cover, because this is such an important story. Absolutely. And the artists who are sitting in are asking questions which are so important to get the answers to. So please continue to give us your support.
Yeah, no, I think that the role that artists has for a very long time been overlooked. That's perhaps just my bias coming through. Let's talk about sustaining livelihoods in the context of the challenges you've just explained to us. For one, should we be worried about how much it might cost to watch or engage with the National Arts Festival this year, considering just how much needs to be made to claw back on the losses from the previous year?
We're very, very fortunate to have a very strong set of passionate and loyal donors and supporters. And as I've mentioned before, government is one of our largest supporters, because there is a recognition of the enormous value of the arts to a city like Makhanda, but of course the National Arts Festival as a platform to express the talent and opportunities of South African arts. So we sit in the very fortunate position to be a festival that is able to support the arts almost regardless of what we will generate in terms of revenue. So we are concerned about ticket sales, obviously. We are concerned about audiences, definitely. But we are also a non-profit organization who is there to do a very particular role in support of the arts. And when it comes to a crisis situation, if you can't refer to your vision and mission, what are you? Yeah. And our vision and mission says support the arts under any circumstance, and that's what we're going to be doing. And we are certainly very aware of the constraints on both audiences and artists this year, and so we're working with all of our stakeholders to try and make sure that the festival is the best possible experience, that it is feasible for the cost-conscious consumer and audience member to come and visit us. And of course, our online platform is the easiest way to access our work from across the world. And we welcomed over 80,000 users onto our festival platform last year. So we're hoping those folks will join us again. And of course, our exceptionally loyal audience base will come and visit us in Makhanda, as well as new audiences that will join us in other spaces as well.
Absolutely. Very quickly, as quick as you can, dates for us to remember?
17 June, we start popping up with shows across the country. 8 to 18 July, please come and join us in Makhanda for our 11 days. And our online platform will be available from the 8th of July for a month and more to view incredible live and digital work in an online world.
Monica, I can only wish you well, not only because of the work that you do, but because of how important it is for our reckoning as a society, especially in the context of a pandemic. Thanks very much for chatting to us. Really appreciate your time this morning. Monica Newton, CEO of the National Arts Festival. Thanks very much indeed.